Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today. My name is Mel Rose. Today is Friday, May 5, 2025. It is Lunar Beltane, which is sort of the end of our Beltane celebration. We started out on Monday, the 1st of May, with Solar Beltane. That's when we really get out and enjoy and celebrate the height of spring. I know I've been just enjoying being outdoors this week and celebrating all the flowers and the greening of the trees, the abundance that's coming in terms of natural resources. So that's what Beltane is about. This is Lunar Beltane. This is more of a private affair. If you're going to celebrate Lunar Beltane tonight, it's going to be something you do alone or with your family. But let's talk about laying low. This is the Friday I'm calling Freaky Friday, or maybe a little bit Struggle Bus Friday. If any of you have been on the struggle bus with me at all this week, you're going to understand fully what these vibes mean as I describe them to you. It's a little bit of a strange day today. So let's get into it. The sun is in Taurus, and this is the second 10 days of the sun's transit in the land of Taurus. So we're well into our Taurus transit. When the sun is in Taurus, our outer lives, our work, social, and civic lives come to revolve around Taurus themes that are like securing the material resources that we need to feel comfortable, to feel secure, to feel as though we are supported in the work that we want to do. And I just realized I have a little bit of pencil marking still here on my paper, so I'm going to go ahead and erase it so it's not confusing. There we go. Looks better. Okay, so Sun in Taurus, securing the material resources we need to feel comfortable in our homes, in our lives, and to feel supported as though we can do the work that we're doing. That's what we're about right now. The nice things that we like to have so that we can feel easy about going to work and engaging in the work that we do. And then the full moon tonight is in Scorpio. Okay, so a full moon in Scorpio, this is a little bit of it's almost like an oxymoron. It's not an oxymoron. Obviously, we do get a full moon in Scorpio every time the sun is in Taurus, because that's the opposite sign, right? Scorpio is Taurus's opposite sign. So everything that Taurus is, Scorpio is kind of the opposite of that. Taurus is earth and Scorpio is water. So they're sort of complementary opposites that work together. The full moon in Scorpio, though, full moon is usually a time to, pat yourself on the back, celebrate, look back on the accomplishments that you've made this month, and, really just appreciate what it is that you have, and sort of enjoy the night being illuminated by this beautiful bright moon, because it's sitting in opposition to the sun, so it's shining fully. It's reflecting all the sunlight it can back at us. And, full moon sort of illuminates the shadows. It illuminates the dark parts, right? It's a little bit like having the sunshine at night. It's not exactly the same way, obviously, but it's an illuminating time. It's a lit up time. And so it's a time when we want to, sort of enjoy ourselves outdoors or indoors, often a really social time, the full moon. However, in Scorpio, the full moon in Scorpio can be a little bit of a deeply emotional or intuitive experience. And for that reason, I generally recommend, and I generally try myself, to sort of stay at home and do the reflective work during the full moon in Scorpio, because this is a time when we are going to have some self-discovery. Again, that full moon, it lights up the night, right? It lights up the dark places. So those things we hadn't realized about ourselves might be coming up. We might have some profound realizations about stuff that, may have seemed obvious once we learned it, but never was obvious to us before, right? Like I said, it's very deeply intuitive. There can be strong feelings that come up at this time. And again, the shadows are illuminated. And by that, I mean, the shadows outdoors, but also the shadows of the personal psyche, those dark parts of ourselves that we don't like to acknowledge, don't like to think about, those things about ourselves that, we feel embarrassed about or just bad about in some way. Those are the kinds of things that get illuminated, and we wind up thinking about them under the full moon. Now, tonight is not just any full moon. Additionally, it is a lunar eclipse, and the lunar eclipse pulls in that chaos factor, right? Eclipse is a word it relates to a word in Latin that's about to leave. So it is about changing, right? Some things are going to fall away from us, and some things are going to come in fresh to take their place. So understand that with a lunar eclipse, there might be some loss, there might be some changes, there might be some unexpected things coming up and happening, okay? And this lunar eclipse, especially because it is in Scorpio, may find us opening up our hearts in revealing ways. Again, self-discovery, right? This is a time when old emotional wounds can surface. And it's interesting that that comes up because the moon here is really kind of quincunx to Chiron, so it's an adjustment energy between those two. And that says to me that, you know, those old emotional wounds, especially Chiron and Aries, those old wounds around social exclusion or embarrassment or being put on the spot or being picked on or beat up or ignored or neglected, you know, all those wounds that kind of come to us often in our childhood. Aries refers a lot to childhood. You know, those are the kinds of things we've been focusing on when it comes to healing ourselves. And, you know, we've got this sort of line of adjustment here between our moon, which is our body, and our emotions and our intuitions, the way we feel about things, the way things are going in our personal lives. And so when those feelings, those old emotional wounds start to surface, you know, there's this desire to make an emotional adjustment to it, some sort of emotional or intuitive adjustment to it, right? To make ourselves more comfortable, whether that means putting ourselves in a situation, taking ourselves out of a specific situation, whatever it is that we can do to help ourselves not feel as though we are, you know, back there at, you know, 10 or 12 years old and suffering like bullying or, again, neglect or being ignored or being made an example of, that kind of stuff, okay? So just be aware of that. Also, you know, so with the eclipse tonight, what's going to happen is that the moon will appear to go partially dark for a while. I don't think that it's going to be a full lunar eclipse where the whole moon goes dark, right? You'll see a shadow cross across the moon. It'll get a little bit darker. And then as time passes, that shadow, which is the Earth's shadow, because the Earth is just going to pass right between the moon and the sun here, right? We're just going to pass right in between in such a way that the Earth will cast a shadow on the moon. And when that shadow moves out, then we call that the returning light, the returning light. So while we're in this full moon and while we're under the eclipse, you know, again, that self-discovery is coming in, those old wounds can surface. But remember that when the eclipse passes and the light comes back, then this is a good time for us to put an end to the rumination on certain things, right? Allow ourselves to be done with whatever has come up, or allow ourselves to put an end to, you know, behaving a certain way or thinking or feeling a certain way about something. You know, allow the discovery that we've made there to put a stop to some of that hurting, right? And to let yourself feel healed and renewed. That's the idea, especially with the returning light of the moon after the eclipse. Now, today also we have a major shape on the page. It's here. The Mars is opposite to Pluto, okay? And then Jupiter here is 90 degrees to both of them. So this is an opposition, which is, you know, likely sometimes to bring up conflict unless we can find a balance in our behavior, right? And then Jupiter is in what they call a conversation of tension with both Mars and with Pluto. Okay, so it's not a conversation that's meant to put anything to a stop, but it's a conversation that's meant to sort of open our eyes to why it is that we need to seek the balance between Mars and Pluto here. So let's talk about that for a minute. Mars in this conversation of conflict with Pluto can bring about a power struggle. Okay, so Mars and Pluto are both about power in their own way. Mars is very assertive, it's very fiery, it wants to move in directly and get the job done, or Mars in Cancer wants to sort of scuttle in sideways but still get the job done, okay? And then Pluto just went retrograde. Pluto is just now retrograde, still technically in Aquarius, going to move back into Capricorn during this retrograde. So that Pluto retrograde, you know, Pluto brings us through those high highs and low lows of experience that completely transform us over time, right? And for 6 months out of the year, Pluto is direct, and we're undergoing those transformations. We can kind of see the changes we're going through, you know, external to ourselves, as being external to ourselves. But then when Pluto goes retrograde, this becomes a time of reflecting, of noticing the way those transitions and transformations, metamorphoses have affected us personally, and integrating them into our body, our mind, our psyche, our soul, our spirit, our conversation, right? So we want to embody those transformations that we've been through in the last 6 months, and that's what's going on. Mars in opposition with Pluto says, you know, maybe I don't really want to reflect. Maybe I just want to get going. And Pluto says, we got to slow down. We got to feel some things. We got to notice some things. We got to let some old hurts surface so that we can heal them, right? We have to engage in some self-discovery at this time. Mars is not really all that interested in self-discovery. Mars is interested in discovery of other things, right? So that's what that conversation of tension is about right there, okay? And because it's Mars and Pluto, Mars rules Aries and Scorpio, you know, a couple of intense kind of signs, right? Pluto is also the modern ruler of Scorpio. So this is the kind of vibe that you're dealing with. You may feel compelled. Pluto is really compelling. Pluto will check in on you from time to time and say, oh, I thought you were supposed to be over here. I thought you were supposed to be over here, but you seem to be over here. So let's just pick you up and move you. It can be really abrupt, those transformations that you go through, especially if you've been resisting or avoiding them. And that makes them more dramatic and upsetting, right? So we want to really kind of go with the flow of changes and transitions as they come to us, okay? But at this time, one may feel compelled to go to extremes to meet a goal. That's Mars in Cancer, like really having a lot of initiative, really feeling empowered, and really wanting to make moves, take action on the things that we're trying to complete. And Pluto is like, maybe we slow down just for now and like have a little bit of reflection before we keep moving forward. So that's what the power struggle is. And it can be really an internal power struggle where, I don't know about you, but what I notice is that I feel really restless, but I know I need to just sit, right? Or I feel like really ready to get started on something, but that something is not ready for me to get started on it, right? So then I have to just sort of sit back and reflect and plan and integrate and think about how I'm going to embody that change when it's time for me to show up in the world and do it. So Mars meeting a little frustration with Pluto, fast-moving Mars with slow-moving Pluto, right? So the great thing about this triangle here, though, is that Jupiter is here in this conversation with both of them. And they're squares. So like I said, it's conversation of tension. It's meant to challenge us. It's meant to remind us, help us remember why it is that we do the things that we do, right? Or want the things that we want to do. And Jupiter here is providing us good fortune and personal expansion, okay? When we take action, because Jupiter is here in Aries, right? Mars rules Aries. Jupiter's in Aries saying, okay, when we take action, we have good fortune, okay? So you can expand yourself, your ideas of what you can be, do, and have. You can travel more. You can make more money. You can, you can get that higher education, whatever it is that you want to do to expand your life. When you take action on those things, okay, from an optimistic frame of mind, then you can get this business done, okay? So what we want to do is we want to approach this time of self-discovery, of sort of laying low and opening up to ourselves and feeling the way things feel, allowing ourselves some healing, allowing ourselves to embrace and embody the transformations we've been through in the past year. We want to do that with an optimistic frame of mind. We want to lean into it. We want to say, yes, I'm ready for this transformation. I'm ready for this good fortune. I'm ready to take action to get these things, to get these needs and desires met, these bigger, better needs and desires met. Okay, but if we come in there with an angry or entitled way of being, and I'm pointing at Mars on purpose because Mars, when it is in a, when it is in an unbalanced state, can be very angry, entitled, aggressive, right? Just me, give me what I want. I'm going to get what I want right now, and I'm not going to let anything get in my way. Well, that's not really the way to be right now. The way we really want to be right now is a little bit more passive, a little bit more receptive to ourselves, a little bit more open to the interior life of ourselves, okay? Again, allowing those intuitions to come up, allowing ourselves to feel those strong feelings, allowing our shadows to be illuminated so that we can discover something about ourselves and say, oh, well, I see that that's part of my shadow, but I don't really think that reflects me. And so this is what I'm going to do with it, right? We have opportunities to heal right now, so don't get in a hurry to make progress on things that you want to make progress on until you are, until you get through this period of making progress on the things that are personal within you, okay? That's kind of the thing we want to make progress on: personal healing, personal balancing, personal reflection on the transitions and transformations we've been through, and not necessarily trying to work on anything in the outer life for right now, okay? I'm saying that because it's the full moon in Scorpio with a lunar eclipse. It's really lay low, take care of yourself, think about yourself, try to heal what you can heal at this time. Coming up then on Sunday the 7th, and I'm going to come back tomorrow and talk to you about these, Venus is going to move on into Cancer. So Venus and Mars will be in Cancer together. We're going to approach them being conjunct pretty soon. And then Venus is also going to culminate this quincunx here with Pluto, which is an adjustment energy between what you like, love, and can't get enough of, your attractive energy, and again, those personal transformations that we're reflecting on at this time. Okay, I think that's all I have to say about it. If you have any questions about this full moon in Scorpio, the lunar eclipse, any of it, please leave a message in the comments. I will see it and respond to it. I sure do appreciate y'all for tuning in. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notifications bell. That helps me out a lot. And thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video.